once again, Houston, to On the Money with the financial advisory team from Allied Wealth, Matt Stevenson and Peter Lott. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. Gentlemen, we have got to jump right into this show because, unfortunately, we know that we're looking down the barrel of a recession.
The R word.
The R word, not the retirement, the good one. This is the bad R word, yeah. Recession. I think we can now all agree that it is actually happening. They're saying right now it's not a very deep recession. What I'm worried about is a very long recession. So what we want to address on today's program are measures, steps that your viewers, that your clients can take in hopes to prepare themselves as best as possible, especially as we're going into retirement.
Absolutely.
Matt, I know it's a big concern. When we start with preparing for a storm like this, what kind of steps do you talk about first with folks? Let's talk about maybe a viewer who's watching the program for the first time. What is one of the first things you want them to think about?
Yeah, so guys and gals watching at home, when we're facing a recession, you know, we've got sky-high interest rates, inflation. When we go to the grocery store, we're paying an arm and a leg for seemingly everything, right? And especially if you're getting close to or in retirement, it can feel like, you know, the ability to maintain our lifestyle, it gets quite expensive, right? So that's where we need to start with, what is our income and spending plan going into retirement? And that's what we look at from A to Z. So looking at things like your Social Security benefits. If you're not already claiming those, let's develop a strategy on the best timing to do so, to maximize.
Blade, let me pause you right there.
Go ahead.
The people that come to me and tell me that their neighbor is taking at XYZ age just makes me sick inside, because they're talking at the mailbox. Oh, my neighbor says take it at 62. I'm going to take it at 62. There can be a ton of ramifications if you take it at the wrong time, to where it could reduce your overall payout throughout the years of retirement. It could put more pressure on your investments.
More importantly, Peter, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, there is a right and wrong time, and it's different for everybody.
Exactly. It is not the same as your neighbor.
That's the problem.
Possibly
when
not
people
the same as your
talk about
neighbors.
Social Security, say this is the right time to take it, or this is like no. It's different for everyone.
Each and everyone.
So how do you evaluate the situation?
So we look at you as your specific situation, your spouse, whatever the case may be, where you're at, what your investments look like, and Matt, I'm going to give it back to you because I didn't want to. Excuse me, Matt Blade. I mean, didn't want to.
Make sure to get the name right. But you know, here's a good example. So we actually did a retirement summit. So we did some live events here recently, and I had a guy. Engineer, God love them. We have tons of engineers that we work with, but
well, especially here around Houston.
Absolutely.
Oil and gas. There's a lot of great engineers around here, and they like to come in with their spreadsheets and their information.
Exactly. So our engineers, as I do, love the spreadsheet. So this guy had everything mapped up for his income and spending plan, and he had already figured out to the day when he was going to claim his benefits and his wife's benefits, so kind of making that decision for the combination of them. Well, one of the things he didn't consider is what happens if something happens to him? You know, is the wife going to be able to continue on not only with the investing strategy, we'll talk more on that later, but you know, if he was going to claim early, he's 60, looking at claiming at 62 to wring every dime out of the system that we can.
That you think possibly, right?
That you think, right? We don't know what the future holds. We have shattered crystal balls at this point. But, you know, by claiming it as early as possible, the thing that he hadn't really considered yet is if we delay, not only maximizes his benefit, but should something happen to him, God forbid, the wife would then be able to claim his higher benefit had he waited. And that helps to ensure that she has that successful retirement for her longevity.
And let's be honest in this conversation as well. 9 times out of 10, female, wife, spouse is going to outlive us. So now we've locked in a lower amount for the rest of their lifetime. And there's nothing you can do to change Social Security once you turn that spigot on.
Exactly. And tying this back to, you know, recession proofing your retirement plan, you know, Social Security is one section of that as far as income and spending. But, you know, we, at the end of the day, have to ensure that we've got those non-discretionary expenses covered. So these are the essentials, right? Food, water, shelter, clothing, transportation, everything that we need to have any sort of quality of life in retirement. If we've got those needs met, then we should be okay. But all the folks that we work with, Pete, they're looking to make an abundance out of their lifestyle.
Absolutely,
You know, travel, spend time with friends, family, you know, really meet all the goals that they have. And that's where, you know, in times like this, it can be a bit more challenging. But at the end of the day, we have to have confidence to go out there and spend throughout our golden years in the years that are most important.
And the confidence, though, that you're talking about, I think, comes from something like the financial flight plan. We talk about this all the time because it's a written strategy, or printed, if you will. You don't want to see my handwriting. Nobody will be able to read
Or mine either.
But it's a printed strategy, so you've taken into account these kinds of variables. Could you even imagine 2 years ago these variables of the highest inflation we've seen in 4 decades and finally the bull market ending? Did you take into account those variables?
That's the thing. The planning that we do in our office takes those variables into account so we can know what it's going to look like if you have to go through another 2008 financial crisis. What we're living right now, high inflation, high interest rates. We anticipate all that and put that into your plan. But as Matt was saying, and we were talking about this before the show, my clients, they want to know they can get through retirement without having to worry about what's going on their computer, iPad because of the news, what the Fed is doing, what's going on politically. They don't want those risks inside their portfolio. They got up every day. They went to work. They did their job. They were in control of their paycheck for the most part. The last thing they want is to have their retirement in control of any news-based organization, and that's basically what it's held hostage as.
And that's the difference, because we don't know when these things are going to happen, but we know that they will at some point, especially over the course of a 20 or 30-year retirement. And so being able to account for all these variables, stress testing a plan in multiple ways, that's exactly what we do when we build a holistic and comprehensive plan for all of our clients. That way you can go out there and spend with confidence. You can generate an income stream that is reliable and consistent over the course of your lifetime for yourself and for your loved ones as well.
At the Retirement Summit that you just did, the live events, we talked about it on the hour-long radio show that you do every single week. We've been mentioning it here on the television program. What were some of the questions? Were they more focused on recession? Were they focused on how is inflation going to start to slow down? What is going on in the markets? What were some of the negative factors that people were most concerned about?
And whether it was the feedback after or even during the breaks in the class, a lot of what we were hearing, Pete, is, you know, because of, hey, we're in this market decline, because we might be in a recession or we're in the midst of one already, you know, I was thinking about retiring in the next year. I've already retired. Do I need to go back to work? You know, all of these uncertainties that people are facing right now, and that's why we want to put that to the test. Let's let math help to guide the decisions that we're making. The last thing that you want to do is allow your emotions to drive something as critical as when you retire or unretire, as a lot of people are feeling right now.
We're seeing it every day. People are postponing their retirement. You've worked your whole life, and now you got to postpone your retirement because what the Fed says or what's going on at that particular time. I know I don't want to be held
Let's
like
call
that.
it what it is. That sucks.
Exactly. And I think that's the fear that's out there. Fellas, we got to take a very short break. Folks, we say the financial flight plan all of the time. And what the financial flight plan is a written strategy, a planned and mapped out strategy that takes a look at your investments, your tax consequences, health care, even legacy planning, all the way through retirement, not just for yourself, but for your spouse, for your family. Call right now so you can get started on your own complimentary financial flight plan from the team here at Allied Wealth by calling the phone number 844-944-7555. More with Matt Stevenson and Peter Lott, financial advisors with Allied Wealth, when we get back, and more on the money after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Thank you for coming back to On the Money with Matt Stevenson and Peter Lott. We're talking about retirement planning and the backdrop of the recession right now, Matt.
And Spike, I hate to pause you there, but we've got some limited time here on the show, and we talked a lot about income and spending plan there in the first section of the show. Really, we want to tie that together with some of the other questions and concerns that we're hearing around that dirty R word, recession.
Yeah.
And that ties directly to how people are allocating their dollars or how they're investing in their 401ks, their IRAs. And there's a lot of questions going on with the market. We're still substantially down with things. We don't know how long this is going to last, whether it's the recession or the market downturn itself. But we're hearing from people calling in from the show, listening on radio, that people are down 25, 30% in a lot of cases.
Matt, I had a gal a couple of days ago, probably a week ago now. She's lost 35% of her life savings.
And that was in the
35%.
retirement account at work?
Retirement account at work, right? That an advisor that she was paying for, which we looked inside her portfolio, doing the portfolio x-ray, and saw the fees that she was paying. I was able to put an extra $500 a month back into her pocket from her advisor's pocket. And I said, has he done anything to recover the funds? Has he helped you navigate this thing? Oh, a couple of changes. So we kind of dug a little deeper on the couple of changes. The couple of changes actually put her in a worse position than what she was before he made the changes. So you can have these advisors and you think, oh, this is just normal. I'm going to ride this thing out. It's a paper loss. It's not the case.
But how is she supposed to know the difference of who she's working with?
Education, right? I educated her on what we did, and I met with this lady for 30 minutes. She was in tears, and now she text messaged, but we were texting and she, talking and having a lot of fun together.
How old was your client?
62.
62. So you were able to save her $500 a month in cost to work with an advisor, to which she'd already
do the
lost
math on that,
a
Blake.
third of her life savings. So that's what, $6,000 a year? Over the course of a 30-year retirement. That's almost $200,000, if not more.
Back in her pocket. Back so that she can live a better life, not so the advisor can live a better life, so she can live a better life. And that is why you want to know the things. That's why this show is important to watch. Our radio show is important to listen to because we talk about these things. And when you get comfortable, you call in because you have felt these problems inside your portfolio and you want to see what the difference is. So and the Allied Wealth difference is huge.
If you've got a brand new viewer out there, you mentioned it, I think, in the previous set, the portfolio X-ray. It's part of the financial flight plan. Right. Maybe explain what exactly do you discover inside the portfolio? Is it fees, investment risk?
Yeah, so again, we want to rely on the math to help guide any decisions that we make, no matter what step we are in building a financial flight plan. So here we're talking about the investment side of things. We just want to look under the hood at what you're already doing, the different funds, different stocks, whatever that mix is in your 401ks, your retirement accounts, other types of monies that you may have. We want to see how that's working for you. What sort of return are you getting? More importantly than that, guys, is the level of risk that we're taking with our life savings, especially when we get close to retirement. Understanding what am I standing to lose, or what sort of drawdown might I experience? Tied to that, here's another example. I started working with a gentleman here in the last couple of weeks. He'd done an awesome job at positioning himself and his wife for retirement. He saved $3 million.
Very nice.
Yeah, and to maintain his lifestyle, from the nest egg, combine that with he's got a pension, Social Security. He only needs about $100,000 to maintain that, so he should be in good shape. But this year, this guy's down almost 30%. current values.
Wait. Put that in dollars, Matt.
Yeah.
That's $900,000.
Exactly. At the beginning of this year, he was closer to $4 million. So he's lost almost $1 million.
I'm starting. I got to check my pulse here
Because whether it's his 401k or these IRAs, and he's doing it on his own right now, he has all of it tied to the S&P 500. And so every dollar is feeling, the emotional and monetary roller coaster, riding the waves up and down. He had no idea. It's this conventional wisdom we're always taught. Just sock money away, take advantage of the market, right? Ride the waves. We'll be okay at the end of the day. But the mindset shifts when we're getting close to retirement and we need these dollars to be there for us. For the long haul, we have to take a different look at things.
What's interesting is, I think I spoke about it with Ryan before, is that inside our retirement accounts at work, we usually only have stocks or stock funds, bonds, bond funds, this other thing, the target date fund.
Yeah.
But we don't have anything else that will provide us a floor where we don't have losses inside the retirement accounts at work. Now, you can do that on the outside, but then it starts to become more complicated. Why do you think that we don't have those kinds of options inside our retirement accounts? Should people be looking at that simultaneously as they're saving while they're working?
And that's the simple fact of the matter, Spike, is there are often limited choices inside these retirement accounts. That serves as a sort of protection from the company that offers the plan to kind of give that set menu that everybody has to choose from. But with this gentleman, for example, he had just turned age 60. So I showed him a way to where we can take advantage of something like an in-service withdrawal from his 401k. Plan stays open. He's still going to work a couple more years, but being able to take control of those dollars for himself to get better results, be able to protect a portion of that nest egg, and get the results that he needs to take the chances of a lifestyle change off the table, and that's the most important thing.
That's huge. That's huge. And Matt, you said in-service withdrawal. What an in-service withdrawal is, you've got a 401k that's your current job. At typically age 59 and a half, you can move those funds outside the 401k and into a self-directed IRA. That's a tax-free transaction. You're not going to pay any taxes on that. What it's going to allow you to do is get more control of your money so that you can have an advisor help you maintain that account. Instead of you just pressing some buttons at work and making some changes, you've got a team dedicated to you on how to build that. And it's an in-service withdrawal. You keep your 401k intact. You still contribute to it. You get the match. You just take the bulk of those funds and move those to that self-directed IRA. And I have clients do that every single day that we pull funds out of those.
So you've got to be 59 and a half, and
typically
don't you need to contact the plan provider to make sure that it's part
and
of
we
the
help you with that.
So don't really do this on your own.
Don't do it on your own. What we do is normally do a phone call together. We'll ask the questions for you and kind of get the protocol for what your company needs specifically, because they're all a little bit different, and help with that. There's also the ability, if you've got an old 401k, maybe you worked at a job a few years ago that you no longer work there, you can move that to a self-directed IRA and have more control. And we see that time and time again, that people have these old 401ks they kind of forget about.
Yeah.
That's the last thing.
We don't want to leave them behind.
That's the last thing you want to do is leave them behind.
We're trying to get folks as recession ready as possible. We don't know how long it might last. And ironically, I want to talk a little bit about taxes when we get back, because there is a little bit of something that we could take advantage of right now. The Roth conversion, we've mentioned it before, but with the markets down, this might be a time to do something like that. So I got to take a very quick break. Folks, if you want to get started on your own complimentary financial flight plan, which will take a look at your investments, your fees, the risk you're taking, tax solutions, legacy planning, which I also want to mention when we get back, give us a call right here, 844-944-7555. More On the Money with Matt Stevenson and Peter Lott right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to On the Money and the special program that we are doing today on getting you recession ready. We don't know the duration of how long it's going to be. We don't know the depth of the recession. But we did want to talk a little bit about tax planning as we're going into the recession. Why is that, Matt?
You know, when we have these R words, these recessions that we're facing, oftentimes that's faced with a market downturn. But, underneath that, when we have a recession, there's an economic slowdown that's often occurring in the background of that. So companies are earning less in revenue, maybe there's layoffs, unfortunately. It's a difficult environment. And that's where we risk the future of potential tax changes. Maybe the government's generating less revenue in these instances as well. And that's a very real challenge that we as a society are facing right now. The government's looking at, I think it's $30 trillion in tax deferred buckets, like your 401ks and IRAs. They're chomping at the bit to be able to access those quicker and in heavier bunches.
Well, they're going to have a much easier time since they're trying to hire 87,000 new IRS
insane.
agents, and it's really.
And do you think those 87,000 are going after the top 1%?
I don't think so. Something tells me that's not going to be the case. So taxes are just going to get more expensive. And since it's already probably one of your biggest, if not the biggest expense in retirement, tax planning is probably one of the most important things you're going to do. The problem is you can't just go throw your stuff down on the desk and say, hey, we're going to tax plan this year. It doesn't work like that. It's really forward-looking in how you tax plan to break these dollars free. Everybody does. They just go throw on the desk.
Say, give me as much money back this year as possible so I can use my refund and go on a vacation.
Kick the can down the road, right? But you don't need to do that at all.
And that's fine. That's taking a snapshot at this moment in time, and that's kind of that conventional financial wisdom that we're all taught. Let's kick the can down the road. Let's get all these deductions right now that we can get. We'll worry about that problem later, but a lot of the folks that we see every single day, they've chucked all their dollars into these 401ks, IRAs, these tax-deferred dollars where Uncle Sam has a tax lien on their retirement plan. And he's a pretty bad partner to have when we're talking about living the next 20 to 30 years on these dollars.
Expensive partner.
Exactly. When every dollar that comes out of these accounts is taxable as income to you. Now, if a lot of our clients, like you at home, have done a great job of saving, we need to have a plan of action for that right now today, and that's where it starts, is let's start where we're able to. Let's whittle away at these pre-tax accounts, get them into tax-exempt buckets like a Roth IRA, and now's a great opportunity to do that while the market's down.
But explain that for our viewers. We've done it a couple of times over the year, but why is now such an opportune time to take a look at it?
Exactly. Since the market is down 20, 25%, whatever the number is, let's take advantage of that, right? Let's take advantage of this market volatility and scoot these pre-tax dollars into that tax-free bucket like your Roth. That way we see that asset recovery in the tax-free bucket to where it'll defer taxes and then we can take money out as tax-free income later on in retirement. This is a valuable time to be able to take advantage of that.
Matt, tell the story, the client that you've got, the difference between using a Roth and doing the Roth conversions and not doing the Roth conversions when they were like in their later on in life. So the difference, it was a gigantic, I remember I don't remember the numbers, but I know it was a gigantic difference in their income by putting that Roth conversion in.
It was. So with this client example, husband and wife, both age 60, they'd saved about $3 million for retirement, and all of it is in the pre-tax accounts, 401ks and IRAs. And based on maintaining their lifestyle, every plan that we stress tested for them, they were going to leave behind about $5 million, which sounds like a great problem to have, but here's the problem. They've got two kids that both earn about $250,000 a year. Now, what happens if we're leaving these pre-tax dollars behind, Uncle Sam's going to come calling. So if something happens to husband and wife later in life, then those kids are going to be forced to withdraw every dollar from those pre-tax accounts over the span of 10 years. And so if we're leaving $5 million behind, that's an extra $250,000 of income every year on top of their earned wages. That's $500,000. And they're single right now. Who knows what the future holds, but that puts them at the top tax bracket when tax rates will probably be way higher.
Expensive.
Peter, somehow you took it from taxes right over to legacy planning. And I think that goes back to my question from before. When somebody's watching the program, how do they know what kind of advisor they're working with? So if they're just talking to you about investments or products, they're probably not a retirement planning advisor.
May not be, and I don't know who they're talking to, obviously, but you want an advisor that's going to look at all facets of your portfolio, not only just your investments, but what can you do tax efficient wise, what can you do tax planning wise, when to draw Social Security, things like all these things that encompass, and that's what the financial flight plan does. It's a written, comprehensive plan that allows that person to see what they're going to look like in retirement. It gives them a future view of what this thing can do. Risk tolerance, risk capacity, legacy planning, healthcare planning, all the things this thing does is an enormous piece, and we do it all complimentary.
Exactly. And when we talk about building your financial flight plan, we've talked about a lot of those essential elements here on the show today, but we want to identify, especially with all these moving parts in today's world, what are you comfortable taking as far as risk? It's a fluid situation. Sometimes we're okay being aggressive, conservative. Let's figure that out together. How much can you afford to lose and stay retired, maintain your lifestyle? That's what we call risk capacity. Understanding your investment allocation. Let's look under the hood at what you're doing. Are there some changes needed there? Your income and spending plan. We've talked a lot about taxation, how that ties directly to building an effective legacy plan. And let's not forget one of your biggest expenses in retirement, healthcare and long-term care needs. We want to account for all of these factors in building your plan.
Peter Lott, the Executive Director of Financial Advisors, Matt Blade Stevenson, the President of Allied
It's just
Wealth.
Blade.
Thank you guys so much for getting us as recession ready as possible and offering the financial flight plan. Folks, call right now for your own complimentary financial flight plan to get you to and through retirement. 844-944-7555. Thank you for watching On the Money. We'll be back again next week.